Okay, I'm going to do your bubble lab. This is going to represent our membrane. And we have a bubble solution that actually becomes a membrane. So remember, membranes are made of fat. They are super flexible. So this is concept one on your lab, that membranes are flexible, and also that they are fluid. So items or pieces of things like proteins that are embedded in the membrane can actually float around the membrane. That one fell out because it's too heavy. Let me put a different one in there. So here's my membrane again, and proteins that are embedded in the membrane actually swim through the membrane. I'm not sure you can see this. That little piece of paper can swim right around in the membrane. All right, didn't work very well, but membranes are fluid. Okay, next part of this lab is how do molecules move through? So how do I get a toothpick through this membrane? If I try to drop something through the membrane, it will pop my membrane. So there's no more membrane. So how do I get something through? First of all, anything that's going to slip through the membrane that's tiny, or that can slip through the membrane for free, has to be tiny like a toothpick, and it has to match the membrane. So my membrane is a nonpolar lipid bilayer. If this is a nonpolar molecule, here's my membrane there, it can slip right through and the membrane doesn't get hurt. So small nonpolar items can slip through for free. What if I want something fatter to go through? So let's say I want to put this straw through. It's a little bit fatter. If I try to put it through, it doesn't work. The membrane gets busted. So bigger things or items that are charged or polar go through the membrane through a doorway. So I've got this straw doorway here. It's a tube like your protein channel. And there's my membrane that popped. Hang on. So here's my membrane. And I have my protein doorway there. And anything can fit through. Whoops. Anything can fit through. I should have two people. If it can go through a door. So some transport goes right through the membrane, super easy, but it has to use a doorway. That's called facilitated diffusion. This is how bigger items can go through, or items that are polar or charged. So if you are nonpolar and tiny, you can slip through like the straw or like the toothpick. So tiny and fatty can slip right through, or not charged. If you are fatter or you are charged, you have to go through a door, and that is that facilitated, meaning I need help, diffusion, but it still goes from low concentration to high. Okay, the third type of transport is endocytosis and exocytosis. So that is when really, really big things need to get through. So something really big needs to get through here. The cell is going to make a huge opening, okay? So really big things, like my whole hand, could go through this opening and not hurt the cell. And then once the cell gets me through, it just pinches off and is fine. So cells can make really big openings so that huge items, okay, we'll put this through, like that, can go through that doorway. It's not working again. Um, and it doesn't hurt the cell. So the cell makes a big opening, the big thing goes through, then the cell closes that opening and it repairs itself. So this shows that big things can go in and out. That actually requires energy. It's a type of active transport, but then the cell can do self-repair, which is concept number 3. So when I do this, if I get a hole in the cell, so if something were to break through it, it can self-repair because it's sticky. The last concept is binary fusion, which is how cells divide. So if I take a big cell, I'm going to make a cell in my tube here. Here's a big, huge cell. Actually, I just made lots of cells, but I can divide any of these cells in half. Let me see if I can make one big one. All right, so there's one really big cell, and that cell can divide in half and make two cells. I'm not sure if you can see that, because that membrane is attracted to itself. So cells repair themselves. And they also make baby cells because that membrane is attracted to itself. I can get it through there. There, I just made a little baby cell. Not sure if you can see it. Right there. Okay, that is the cell lab. See if you can answer the questions and